My name is Adam O'Brien. I was born in '91, and I am here studying art. My whole family is like ridiculously artistic, and so I sort of just grew up with it in my household, just all over the place. And so I kind of always just said that it was like inevitable that I ended up being an art major, because honestly I don't think I could do anything else. I primarily do 2D art, mostly drawing. I prefer pencil, just keeping it simple. In like elementary school, everybody excluded me because I was the weird girl. All the other girls would be wandering around playing tetherball or like pretending like they were princesses, and I was running around the playground pretending like I was exploring caves or like pretending like I was a dragon or something like that. And so it was pretty obvious that I was uncomfortable in my skin and I didn't know how to act like a girl. None of the girls wanted to be friends with me, and none of the boys wanted to be friends with me either, and so I was just sort of left out of everything, which in some ways is almost worse than being bullied. But I just sort of floated through it because that's what I did. I floated through everything and I didn't really have any emotions because I knew that I couldn't feel anything, otherwise I would have just been a wreck. All the way through like the end of 6th grade to about 8th or 9th grade, I pretty much didn't have any friends. Midway through high school, that's sort of when I had like the realization, and this is what is up with me. I know I have a word that I can put to it. And so I sort of had that realization, and really the only person that I was out to was my best friend. I think I sent her a text one day and I was like, I don't know, I've never really felt right as a girl. And like I would look at guys in high school and sometimes I would either like want to be with them, but most of the time I would just want to be them. And so we eventually decided that I was transgender. Yeah, she's always been there for me just through the entire process, and she sort of helped me solidify just deciding what I wanted to do and when I wanted to do it. When I first came out to her, I told her that I wanted to be treated as a guy and I wanted her to see me as a guy, and so when nobody else was doing that, she was the one who would always call me Adam and would always like use male pronouns and treat me as a guy. And I'm just incredibly thankful that she was there all the way through the beginning, because if I hadn't had just that one person for the last couple years of high school, it would have just been much rockier than it has been. And so that was sort of the first part of the transition, I guess. And so then when I came to college, I did a lot of research. Everything I could find on being transgender, I just ate up. And it was really helpful. It sort of helped to sort of concrete the idea that I could actually do something about it. I could become the guy that I am supposed to be. And it was just super exciting. Granted, the first couple years of college were a little bit rough just because I was sort of living two separate lives. Like there was Adam, the person who I was actually and who my friends call me, and then there was this other person that my parents knew and people in class saw because I hadn't legally changed my name yet and I hadn't come out to my parents yet. And so that was just sort of this awkward double life time. But then I did come out to my parents a couple years ago, right before I started hormones. And then that is the second part of the transition, which is the physical part. And that began about 2 years ago when I started taking hormones. And the shot, what happens is you take it every 2 weeks. It's an intramuscular injection, so I have to stab myself every 2 weeks, and that's not so fun. What it does, the effects, is that it basically brings on secondary sex characteristics, which is what men go through when they go through puberty. I don't think any guy has ever been so excited to go through puberty as trans men are. One of the things that I do get torn up about sometimes is just being lonely. And I think part of that is just because there's not a whole lot of a trans community here in Kansas, at least in Manhattan. Like there's not a lot of people that I can really like talk to about that. The best experience would probably be I took a human sexuality class. We got to the section where we were talking about sexual orientation. A girl in the class raised her hand and asked how that affects trans people. And I was like, oh gosh, now I have to talk. I didn't want to talk about this, but now I have to. And so I started like explaining how for trans people it's different. And then I was like, well, I can't talk about this and not come out. And so I just took a deep breath and was like, I actually identify as transgender, and so that's why I understand this. Afterward, like a whole bunch of people came up to me and were just like, you were really brave to do that, and I'm incredibly thankful that you did. And they were just, I don't know, the amount of support that I got because of that, just even immediately after, was just, it was really heartwarming to know that people in such a conservative state did actually support me. Over the past year, I just, almost every day I'll like look at myself in the mirror and just be like, I can actually see myself. Like I can see this person that I actually am, and like I don't look in the mirror and feel confused anymore.